Hello viewers, welcome back to Candid Conversations with Ganesh Kupala. As you have seen a lot of social impact leaders and business leaders on my show, today I'm really glad to bring one of the very prominent finance leaders who's based in London, UK. We have Sudhir Sharma with us today, who's CEO of SBI UK Limited, and he's also a regional lead for State Bank of India for the UK region. And there's you have a great background in the finance sector. You've been there like for 20, 30 years now.
40 years.
40 years. That's a long career. So we're going to learn a lot about Sudhir Sharma ji today in terms of his finance journey, how you got to here, and all that stuff. So Sudhir ji, if we can quickly start with your humble background in terms of where did you start? I presume you're from India?
I'm from India, yes.
Yeah. How did the journey start?
Thank you, Mr. Ganesh, for having me here. It's, I'm, feeling great to be, interacting with you as well as your viewers. And you have a great fan following.
Thank you.
I'm sure that, together we will have a enriching discussion. So I grew up in Ajmer. It's district headquarter in Rajasthan.
Okay.
And I had my formal education right from the primary education till my masters. I did it from there.
Okay.
And later on, I joined State Bank of India, and I am with the bank for the last 40 years.
Wow.
So I started my career in 1985 as an associate, and later on, I was selected as a probationary officer in 1988 and started my journey from Gujarat. And I moved places in our bank. You get training during your probation period. You are groomed very well for a period of 2 years. So that's a very good tradition which the bank is following for ages.
Yeah.
And from Gujarat, I moved to US to SBI New York branch. I worked there for 4.5 years. I came back to Baroda in Gujarat, and then I moved to Mumbai, Hyderabad, Guwahati. I also worked in New Delhi in my early career. And then I was MD and CEO at SBI Mauritius Limited, which is another subsidiary of the bank. And from Mauritius, I moved to London in 2022. That's close to 3 years now.
Quite a journey. It's an amazing journey. So before we get to the actual financial journey, what I wanted to understand, Sudhir, because a lot of my audience are, my audience demography is less than 35 years old. And a lot of youth and population from across the globe watches this show. So I want to understand how your journey into the finance got started. Because if you talk about like 40 years back, especially coming from Rajasthan and all, I mean, probably it's more of people looking into private sector as a element at all wasn't there, right, back then. So it's more like, looking for public sector jobs, probably back into civil services or anything. Why did you choose banking as an option instead of like other one?
Yeah, it's a very good question actually. So it takes me back 40 years ago or 45 years ago when I was studying. So my uncle, my father's younger brother, my chacha, he was working with Punjab National Bank. And when somebody is there in the family, and later on my elder sister also joined State Bank Bikar in Jaipur, which used to be an associate of State Bank of India. So two elders in the family in the banking system, and I was impressed by the kind of the financial packages they used to get even in those days. And it used to be State Bank of India when I joined. This used to be maybe second to the administrative services, most soft after job, after maybe IAS, etc.
So you joined State Bank almost like in the first decade of nationalization of the banks, right? Prior to, or you joined?
Yeah, so the nationalization took place in 1969, the first phase.
Okay, so the first decade, the second decade,
second time in 1980. So after that, I joined.
Okay,
so banks were expanding.
Yeah.
And we used to have around 4,000, 5,000 branches those days, which are now close to 23,000 branches of State Bank of India alone.
Brilliant.
And
so you spent 40 years in the bank, which is exceptional because today's generation, we generally, I mean, I'm only 39 now, and I'm probably, it's not even as much as your experience, right? So, but in the recent, like Gen Z, Gen Alpha, and we talk about, right, most of the people talk about like, staying with longer term in the company is not a norm anymore now, right? It is unusual to have somebody hearing like, 40 years in the one place. How did this happen? Is that what, if you have to top 3 reasons, if you have to tell why your career stuck at one place for 40 years, what would you say? Like,
So see, it depends on when I joined the bank. The culture was not there that you hop off or you change the companies. So that was one reason. Another reason, it comes from the family also. So most of the state bank leaders, you will find they come from very humble beginning.
correct.
So it also depends on how you have been grown, and maybe the the parents, how they have looked after you and groomed you. So when I joined the bank, there were very few options, and banking sector, largely public sector banks were considered to be a safe bet, in the sense that you have a safe bank, a safe journey with pension benefits and all these things. So they those kind of attraction used to be there.
Yeah.
So it's not that in 40 years of journey there were not opportunities when most of my contemporary bankers, they also left State Bank of India. So what happened in beginning of maybe early 90s, you will find 92, 93 ICICI Bank came, and then Axis Bank, and a lot of private sector banks came, and they were poaching on the public sector banking professionals. So there were opportunities when one could have left, but then the journey had been very, very smooth. I was personally, if I look back, me, my family, we have been treated very well by State Bank of India. And I don't think that you get to work in 4 different countries, including India, US, Mauritius, and London in one life.
True.
So I had no reason to even, think of leaving State Bank of India. And it's not that, I never wanted to come out of the comfort zone, but for us, every transfer itself is, as if we are changing the organization.
That
So
makes a
you
lot
are
of
put
sense.
into a different assignment. And then, bank gave me opportunity to work in leadership role, at least for the last 20 years. So when I became first time regional manager, so they empower you, you lead a team, you lead a number of branches, maybe from a small regional geographical region to a network, and then heading to subsidiaries outside India. So, these were the probably, I was getting motivation, energy, and some positives. So I never looked back at leaving State Bank of India.
Brilliant journey. What a journey. So what I understood from that is, like, culturally you're fit into that place.
Yes.
2, the growth opportunities were tremendous,
Yeah.
which made you to think like, I don't have to change it, because anyways I'm getting opportunities that are much bigger.
Much bigger.
3, you had exposure to the world.
Yes.
So all these sounds really amazing. So one more quick question I have in terms of, like, career. We will get into the details of banking into more, but you would have seen the generations in the last 4 decades.
Yes.
Where you would have been working on the paper throughout, like,
Correct.
like, what do you say? You would have been writing tons of notes in the banking, your monthly statements,
Exactly.
bank quarterly statements, and all that stuff. Then the era of computers came in 90 to 2000 frame, where things changed significantly, and every banking had to change. And after, like, the introduction of Pinnacle into banking systems by the software companies, I think Infosys brought in some new stuff and all. And then now in the recent years, like, you have seen AI, machine learning, automation. So you have seen 3 different kinds of technological transformations significantly happening in the banking sector. And which one did you think was a golden era, and which one you think was really, really challenging from your point of view?
Yeah, see, you rightly mentioned that when I started my career, we used to have completely 100% manual banking. So
Correct.
we used to have large, heavy ledgers, which are difficult to, lift for a student, or for a, kind of a boy when I joined the bank. So, and from there we have moved a lot. Now the banking has, completely converted into a digital era, and you have everything in your phone. So digital banking. So banking has come to, it is now limited in a small
You don't even have to go to bank.
gazette or something. So I think for a banking transaction, even I have not visited a bank branch, though I work in a bank, for a banking transaction, because everything you can do sitting at home, sitting in your office, and at your convenient time, 24/7 facilities are there.
Yeah.
As far as you asked that the golden era, see, there were, In manual banking, the benefit was that customer used to come visit the branch and they used to see someone face to face, and that used to give them a lot of confidence. Even now, if you go back to rural and semi-urban branches in India, you will find that pensioners visiting to the branch, senior citizen coming to the branches, because they want to see that where they have deposited their hard-earned money or their pension. They want an entry in the passbook. So that used to be, from customer point of view, it was very, very a golden
Yeah.
personalized. But then you had banking in terms of local banking. We did not have reach outside your neighborhood.
True.
So wherever the bank branch is there, you can't cover customers who are maybe located 10 miles away.
Yeah.
So they have to either travel to a bank branch and do the transaction. So technological revolution which has come, and I would say that the people of my generation in last 40 years, they could match with the demand of the time, and they could move from manual to back office to front office computerization, and then you said AI, digital, fintech, and all these things.
Yeah.
So, and you would have seen, there are companies in India like HMT or Ambassador, and if they did not move as per the liking or demand of the time or choice of the customers, they have
They had to shut
shut down and close their operations.
Yeah, I know.
So I'm really glad that my institution, State Bank of India, is relevant that time also, and it is relevant today as well.
That's
so we could change as per the demand of the time. We could adopt the technology which was required, and we are one of the leading banks in India in terms of technology today.
I think one of the fascinating research. I mean, when I know that, and I'm going to speak to you. I did some research on like what is SBI, and we all know. I'm also from India, so we all know what is the size of SBI. But I was stunned to see the kind of ATM numbers
Yes.
of SBI. Do you know the numbers?
It's around 64,000 ATMs.
64,000 ATMs. That's
and 22,900 odd branches.
Yeah.
And besides this, we have customer service point, which are also known as touch point, and customers can go and deposit and withdraw cash to the extent of 2,000. So some small transactions they can do. In villages where we do not have presence or ATM, they are numbering around 70,000. So in terms of footfall, we must be having around 150,000 plus points of presence.
Wow. So is it arguably the biggest in the world then? Possibly, that's the biggest.
In terms of number of the branches, no bank will match us.
No bank will match.
In terms of branches and ATMs or CSPs.
Amazing. So it's almost like running a country, right? I mean, see, one of the recent statements I was watching Republic TV when this geopolitical situations and all that were coming up, right? I mean, one of the presenters was telling that if SBI wants to buy a country, they can buy a country. That's how big SBI is.
Yeah.
So what's your reflection on that? I mean, is that a right reflection?
No, somebody would have told this out of excitement, but bank is never looking for what buying a nation or something.
Yeah.
But it speaks volumes about the bank's strength and size. So I'm happy to hear about that. That bank it has grown big, no doubt.
Is,
we have a balance sheet size of in terms of deposit, it's around $625 billion US,
wow.
and our loan book is around $490 billion US.
Brilliant.
We had operating profit of around $12.5 billion US for the year which ended in March 25, and our almost 10 billion is net profit in terms of this.
Stunning numbers. Now let's get into the details of SBI UK. Before that, quick question. So you spent a few years in Mauritius, right?
Yes.
And Mauritius is almost like extension of India, like in terms of culture and all. Okay. So how was your experience in Mauritius? If you want to quickly summarize, what have you seen differently from working in India versus Mauritius?
Yeah. See, Mauritius is a small island with a population of 1.3 million. So it was, comparable. Just before Mauritius, I was working in Northeast and I was looking after Assam and Arunachal.
Yeah.
So Arunachal population is also close to 1.3 million. So these, one small state in Northeast is equivalent to Mauritius population, the country of Mauritius. But it is an island with which, has a lot of potential for growth, etc. And State Bank started its operation in Mauritius in 1989 when Mauritius was looking for offshore banking. So we started the operations, and then we have grown. In last 40 years we have done well in Mauritius as well.
Brilliant.
And there is a still growth prospect. So we have two large banks there, Mauritius Commercial Bank and State Bank of Mauritius. And this company offers us that we can increase our market share somewhere between 5 to 10%. So that kind of potential is there.
Brilliant.
And
So in India, it is nationalized as a bank and it is primarily runs as a public sector. Is it when you expand out of the country, how does that work? That the structure of public versus private. Would you call yourself as? Would you work along with the governments in the new countries, or how does it work? Because hope I'm making the question right. Because in SBI in India, the way we think about it is it's like public sector bank, almost working closely with. Though you have separate authority as a bank, but you are seen as public sector. I mean, you're seen as government more or less, right?
So because largely 56-57%
Correct,
equity
correct.
is owned by bank.
How does it
by
work in
Government of
the
India.
how does it work in the
So it
international
is-
space? Yeah.
So in international space, we have two types of presence. We have presence in 29 countries with almost 244 branches, offices, and we have foreign offices which forms part of our parent bank's balance sheet, and we also have 7 banking subsidiaries outside India.
Okay.
So they are, most of them are 100% owned by State Bank of India. In some cases, we have public holding as well. In Mauritius, around 3.5%. In Nepal, it is slightly higher, around 45%.
Okay.
So those kind of, two different formats are there.
Brilliant.
But they are either branches of the parent bank or majority stake is by State Bank of India itself.
That makes a lot of sense. Now let's get into the UK journey. And you had UK journey started only 3 years back, but I'm sure SBI UK has 100 years of journey, isn't it?
Yes.
It's 100 years. UK and India relationships are really strong in a normal space as well. But I just want to understand how SBI UK operates in the overall global spectrum that you have, and what is the prominence of SBI UK in the SBI space? Like, you're a CEO of SBI UK. So if I have to call out, like, where do you stand in terms of your hierarchy with related to SBI as a whole? Do they look at SBI UK as one of the biggest things, or is it like smaller operations for them? What is the size of it?
Yeah, okay. So we started our London operations in 1921. So that's a journey of around 104 years. In 2022, we celebrated our centenary of our presence or existence in UK. So that time, bank came to United Kingdom with a couple of objectives, which include the trade between the UK and India. Then, remittances by the Indians or the diaspora from UK to India. And besides that, we also provide retail banking services here. So when we came, it was by way of wholesale operations, which takes care, looking after the needs of the large corporates. But as far as our records go, we have the oldest retail operations in Southall, which where we completed 50 years in 2024. So we have retail operations for over 50 years in UK.
That's amazing.
So and then in 2018 we set up a local subsidiary, we can say a local bank, which is regulated by PRA and FCA, and this is known as the State Bank of India UK Limited, which has 11 retail branches. So we have this London operation, as you mentioned, this is one of the largest operations of the bank, and we form around 20% of our overseas book.
Oh, that's
that's
significant.
That's significant, and it's given a lot of importance by the parent bank as well. Both the wholesale operation, which is a part of State Bank of India's book, and the subsidiary, which is 100% owned by State Bank of India. So, in my personal view, the outside India, this is the most important operations of the bank, which has a subsidiary and a wholesale presence by way of State Bank of India London branch. So, and we have grown sizably. Our wholesale book is around, our balance sheet side is around $20 billion US.
Wow.
And last couple of years continuously we are making profits in excess of 100 million USD. As far as the retail bank goes, it caters to not only to the diaspora, but this is a bank for the local residents of the United Kingdom. So we do, bank with all the residents, irrespective of their ethnicity or their association with any country. So anybody can open account who has KYC documents, etc. So they can bank with us. Apart from offering deposit and remittance services, we also offer buy to let and CRE, commercial real estate mortgages. So these are our two more quite important or popular product, we can say. And we have a book of around 1.5 billion of retail loans today.
Amazing. So you brought up really interesting stuff. A couple of things which caught my attention. One is the way we look at SBI in India. Your branding.
Yes.
It is seen State Bank of India written everywhere. The brand of India, right? But correct me if I'm wrong. But the more I see in UK, most of the places, it is just written as SBI UK.
Yes.
So there is no. Is that strategic or is it that's how the branding goes?
Yeah. So your observation is perfect. We still use the logo of SBI. And in UK, we call it SBI UK, whether it is our digital platform also we call YONO SBI UK.
Yeah.
Okay, because you would have seen, our logos at our retail branches. So retail branch is SBI UK Limited. So that is how we write SBI UK. These are our 11 retail branches, 6 in Greater London, 4 in Midland and 1 in Manchester.
Okay.
But our wholesale branch, if you see, which is on King Street, 15 King Street, we write State Bank of India.
Oh,
that's
okay.
the
So there are
legacy
two
of
different
SBI.
organizations.
So two different entities we have here.
Oh, that's very interesting.
So the parent bank's presence by way of London main branch, that is known as State Bank of India, and our retail branches are known as SBI UK Limited. So we prominently write SBI UK for.
So the numbers that you talk about, all these numbers that you mentioned about, are going up to the parent, or is it like SBI UK numbers that we spoke about?
No, so what I spoke about is the balance sheet of our wholesale operation, which is a
operations.
part of part of parent.
Makes sense.
So that is 20 billion US dollar is the book size and
Makes
profit
sense.
in excess of 100 million. And retail side, which is a subsidiary of parent bank, we have a balance sheet of around 2 billion sterling.
Brilliant. So as I said, like I'm also NRI. I used to live in India and then moved to UK. One of the biggest thing, I'm sure all my audience can connect to this, because the moment you get into UK, two biggest challenges: one, finding a home; two, opening a bank account.
Yes.
Both of them are interlinked. Yes. When you go to bank, I mean, now things have changed, but few years back, if you have to open a bank account, they'll ask for the address.
Yes, address proof.
Banking in UK is a bit different from banking in India, is what at least my experience, right? I mean, in terms of you can call more because you are the banker, but how do you see? So do you see a lot of Indians coming to UK or inclined to take SBI UK accounts, or most of your accounts are Indian origin accounts, or how does it work? Like, if I have a SBI account in India, I'm moving to UK. Can I transfer my account here, or should I open a new account here? And what is the benefit of me having SBI India account being in UK? Is there a way it works for me? If I made a question clear.
Yeah, your question is clear, and you want to make it clear for the audiences also that when they are moving to UK, and this is greatest worry that you should, because you cannot carry much cash and there is always risk of losing your cash.
Correct.
So any student, professional, or any immigrant who is coming to UK, they can open an account sitting in India. We have a product called Namaste UK.
Okay.
So before you come to UK, you can open an account. You just visit our website. You go to the Namaste UK product, and then you can start your journey sitting in India without a UK address. Amazing. So your India address and your Aadhaar card and those kind of KYC you have to upload. We do check on the due diligence on those addresses, and based on that an account is opened, and you can transfer to the extent of 5,000 GBP before you arrive here.
Oh, that's a very important information, because a lot of students who travel here struggle in the first few months because of all this, and then you have to reach out to somebody who's here, transfer money from back then,
and for parents this is a big concern that how they will manage their funds. And once they reach out to the airport, and from there to the place of hostel or place of stay, how they will reach. They require a taxi, and you require money to do spending. So instead of carrying cash, it is better that you open an account before you leave your home. Once you have your visa, your school admission, everything is done, you can open an account sitting in India.
And do I get bank card as well by opening that account? See, I'm traveling from, let me just bring the scenario, right? Audience, I know I'm going in detail, but a lot of my audience asks this question, so I'm bringing that question to you. I'm traveling from India to UK. I put in $5,000 GBP
in your SBI
in
UK
my account. Will I get a what do I get? Will I get a debit card that can be used in UK?
Yeah, so this is a very good question, and it's a good opportunity for me also to explain, the wider Indian diaspora which is planning to move to UK or they are already into UK. So you can open an account, and we are also developing a product called virtual debit card. So once we have it sometime during this year, it's one of our priorities that we should have a virtual debit card, and this debit card can be given to the customer, to the prospective, the account holder, and when they land, they can utilize it.
Okay.
So that's our priority. But right now what we do, that once you arrive into UK, you can visit any of our bank branch, and then once you give your address proof, you get so we used to ask for e-visa and address proof. So these are the two things you have to give, and immediately they will give you a debit card.
Brilliant.
And address proof in UK is not that difficult which we think before we arrive into UK, because you move into a house and you change the name on your utility bill, and then you can download through the app a utility bill. So
or you have your residential agreement that can also be
residential agreement, and one of those things which can help. And then your e-visa, earlier it used to be BRP, because you come into the country and within a day or two you go visit a post office or your university office and you collect the BRP. So these two documents, you just tender a copy of this to the bank branch. Now you have to give a share code, and branches can look at your e-visa, and we provide debit card. So I would like all the students who are coming, parents and other immigrants and IT professionals, so they can open Namaste UK account sitting in India, fund the account, and once we have virtual card, it will be very easy for you once you land into the UK and you utilize the card, you pay your taxi and other things.
I think this is extremely useful information, Sudhir ji, and I'm really glad I brought that up as well, and you were explaining as well, because when I moved here, the easiest way for us was one of these app accounts, bank accounts, not even high street bank account. You know what account I'm talking about, the orange, right?
Yeah.
So that's the very popular one in the recent times, because easy, you can do the checks over the phone, you get a statement, you get the bank card the day two. It's very easy. Correct. But now with this, I realized that it's even before getting in here, you have the details. So that's extremely important information. One more piece of really bothering or a lot of questions comes around is, I have fund in, say I worked in India for 20 years, saved all my funds in SBI. Okay, I have like say a few hundreds of thousands sitting in my account. Then I moved here, and I want to purchase a house or something like or for any for that matter, like I'd want to use my funds back from India to here. The remittance back to UK. I mean, there are two ways of remittance, right? One, you can earn money in UK and we send it back to India. That is very normal. It happens. Everyone does it. But people who wants to bring money back from India to UK, all this AML, all this triggers, right? Could you please help me with that? Because a lot of people struggle with this. Whenever they want to buy a home, there is a fixed deposit home deposit money that you have to show 10%, 15%, whatever it is. And you need to show the source of funds. How does that work if I have money?
So in your earlier question, you asked that whether your India account and your SBI UK account, they are interlinked. So they are not interlinked. Your SBI account you cannot use in UK, like you cannot draw money from there directly. But then through our digital app, once you you see your SBI UK relationship, you also see your India relationship.
Okay.
So in one single app, you see all your relationship with SBI UK branch as well as India branch, wherever it is. And then remittances, everything is seamless. It takes less than a minute. Once you use through the app, if you are making a remittance to India, it's very, very simple.
UK to India is simple, but India to UK.
India to UK. So see, there is RBI LRS scheme is there, liberalized remittance scheme. So for making investment in UK, you can bring up to $250,000 per year per person. So you open an account. We do open LRS account at our retail branches. So you open a LRS account with us, and you bring in when you are planning to buy a house, you don't plan it overnight.
No.
So suppose over a 1 or 2 financial year, you can easily bring up to 250 plus 250,000, and then you invest into a house, invest into any business, etc. So that is permitted.
So LRS allows one financial year, 250,000 US dollars
per person. Yeah.
per person. And if you are a family of two, wife and husband,
So separate
you can,
accounts.
if you have
and
two
can
accounts,
bring
you can bring all of that.
And there are guidelines that within a limited time frame you have to utilize this money for investment into India. It should not happen that money you bring from India and it sits in our account for long
In
term.
the UK account, right?
In the UK account. So you should have a specific purpose of making an investment into a residential property or investment into a business, etc.
Okay.
So that should be the intention.
That makes a lot of sense. And I have another question as well. So most of the mortgages, at least like I have seen in the friends, colleagues here, most of them go to either the other UK high street banks, right? I mean, you know what are the names are, like Barclays, Halifax, whatever the names are. But I've hardly heard of our Indian or multinationals. It could be yourself, SBI UK, or there are a couple of other Indian multinationals. So is there a reason why mortgages are not popular, or is it a choice that SBI has taken that you don't do the mortgages?
It's a very good question, very pertinent as well. So we also understand that when, as you also mentioned earlier, that a person who is coming into UK for a long-term settlement, they look for banking relationship and a house of their own. Because here monthly installment to service your mortgage or monthly rental are more or less equal.
True.
So if you are staying here on a long-term basis, it makes sense that you buy your own property.
True.
Now, why Indian banks are not offering mortgages? Because it is one of the regulated product.
Okay.
So most of the Indian banks are providing buy to let. When you are buying a second property with the intention of renting it out and servicing the account out of the rent you earned. So that way we have seen many Indian families also that they have bought more than one house, and then they are getting regular rental income, and they are using this income for servicing their obligations or loans which they have taken from us.
Okay.
So that's a very, very popular product. It is a UK specific product. I have not seen it anywhere else other than UK. So, but mortgages is one thing that we are.
So, but eventually it may happen, right? But you also mentioned about the real estate which are commercial. How does that work?
So, suppose you are intending to buy a commercial real estate, an office space, or maybe you want to buy it and you let it out. So, there are both the things, like you are buying for your own utilization or you are buying it for letting it out.
And do you give this only for Indians, or it's a national product?
It is a national product.
UK
so
national
as I
product.
mentioned earlier, that any resident of UK can avail these products.
Okay.
Whether it is deposit side or it is asset side, the loan side, these products are available to all the residents of the UK.
Okay,
and we have a mix of customer profile.
That's amazing.
So it's not limited to Indian diaspora. We are not a bank for Indian diaspora as far as.
But you would love to work with a lot of Indian diaspora. We are 2 million people now. You know what I'm saying, right?
It's convenient for them because they have India relationship as well. True. Either for the point of remittances or for servicing their own home loan, education loan. So it makes sense to deal with an Indian bank. For them, it is much more convenient. But we are open and we welcome customers or residents of the country.
Brilliant. One more linked question I have, because a lot of Indian diaspora is also prominent in Africa, like call it Kenya, Uganda, Nigeria. Not Nigeria, probably Kenya and Uganda, definitely a lot of Indian population. And then a lot of Eastern Africa as well, you have a lot of Indian population. Similarly, you have a lot of Indian population in Mauritius, some in Nepal and all that stuff. So even if for all of them, if they're moving to UK, you operate in a similar way. So the way you have, you're showing India relationship in your app, do you have the similar one with you have operations in other countries as well,
Other
right?
countries, but if you have SBI UK account, you may not be able to see your relationship with SBI Mauritius.
You can't see that, okay.
Only, India relationship is right now visible in the same app.
So it's not globally connected with every country,
Not
it's only
with
connected
every
with
country.
India and the other country.
So SBI, correct. So if I am in Mauritius, I can see my India relationship
And
along
Mauritius
with SBI Mauritius account.
Okay, makes a lot of sense. Okay, one more historical thing that happened in the last 2 to 3 weeks. There are two big things happened, right? I mean, all of us know, one is the geopolitical situation that we have seen. But unfortunately, because of that, we lost one more very, very big positive news getting the central stage in the national media in India. That is free trade agreement between UK and India. I think at least I'm also accountant. I mean, I've been working in the tax space for 2 decades, and Piyush Goyalji was here multiple times talking about FTA, and there was so much of effort that gone from both the nations bringing the FTA. I would, because you're a top leader in the bank, and you would have definitely noticed like what that means for the banking, but in general for the countries, both the countries. If you want to show some light on what is free trade agreement according to you means for both the countries, UK and India.
Yeah, so this free trade agreement, which has been finalized recently on 6th May 2025, and hopefully the implementation will be there by beginning of 2026.
True.
So largely the agreement has reached, and the benefit which is going to both the sides, to the United Kingdom as well as to India, is that the tariffs have lowered down. So it has come down from almost 90 to 100% tariff lines will come down, and it will be easier for Indian exporters to export things to India, and which will include the textiles and maybe the leather goods and various other kind of things, and the consumers in UK will get them cheaper because the tariff will be reduced substantially. And similarly, there are other services, etc. And from the UK side, the beverages and automotive or clean energy and those kind of industries will flourish, and they will be able to export to India.
And you'll get scotch for much cheaper rate in India.
Yeah,
that's the assumption, right? The alcohol
the
piece. Yeah.
Much awaited, by the maybe a small segment of the country,
But they also spoke about a lot of oil and gas stuff. There's also trading on the textiles. You rightly mentioned.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of other stuff. But especially from you, Sudhirji, what I want to understand is how is going to impact the finance space specifically?
Yeah.
Do you see this is going to impact the ease of business between the countries in
Yes.
terms of fund movements and all that stuff? How does it?
Correct.
Yeah.
So it will also open opportunity for Indian businesses to set up industry in the UK.
Okay.
And this government has given certain benefits in terms of payment of social security. The national insurance for first 3 years has been waived.
Okay.
So that will be a big saving for the businesses who want to come here and settle and bring people from India.
Even the mobility of the employees as well, right?
Employees.
Even
so that
if
will be.
if there's an Indian company who's bringing employees likes of TCS, Infosys, or any other names that you talk about, there's a bunch of people who comes on ICTs or visas and all that stuff. They used to pay IHS, whatever call it as.
IHS will continue to be payable because that is a fees which is taken
And
for
NI as well.
funding. Yeah.
Correct.
So I have come as an immigrant and for a period of say 3 years or 4 years, generally bank officers are coming, and similarly in IT space they come for 4-5 years. So the companies have to pay national insurance apart from the international health surcharge. And when they go back after 4-5 years, they cannot utilize this money.
True.
So this money remains with the government.
Correct.
So now, if somebody is coming only for 3 years, the company is not required to pay NI for them.
Correct.
So it will be an attraction for the companies which
To bring more
to
people.
bring more and more people. So more jobs will be available in the UK for Indians. As well in India, when exports will boost, the manufacturing will also increase. So there will be a lot of jobs in private sector in manufacturing industries. So it will there is a opportunity for jobs to improve both the sides.
That's brilliant.
So that is one thing. Then as far as the State Bank of India's preparedness is concerned for leveraging this opportunity which is coming up, so we have a large trade finance department in our wholesale branch, London branch. So we have a loan book of around 2.5 billion USD. And last month we have booked a new business of say around 700 million. Those kind of turnover we generally handle because trade finance is required for 90 to 180 days. So we look for opportunities when the exports and imports both will increase, between the UK and India. State Bank of India should be a natural choice for the exporters and importers in the UK because one leg is going to be India. And in India, for number sake, you will see that we have a customer base of around 540 million. So 1/3 of Indian population is banking
Is
with
already
the
a
State
customer.
Bank of India. All the large, medium or small businesses are dealing with the State Bank of India. So any UK importer or exporter, exporting or importing or doing a trade businesses with any Indian counterpart, it will be very, very easy for them to bank with the State Bank of India.
That makes a lot of sense.
We look for a better
Yeah,
traction.
yeah, yeah,
And
definitely, definitely. So one more area which I want to understand from you, Sudhir, is the kind of ways of operations in terms of technological changes and all. How did that change the banking sector? What happened in the last decade or so? The AI, ML, all this stuff. How is it changing? Are you noticing it a lot?
Yeah, we are noticing. So in India, we are using AI, machine learning, all these things because we have a vast customer data. So people talk about big data and machine learning and artificial intelligence. So these things, banking is not left outside. So all these developments, you have to again utilize them, and you have to see based on your customer database that what else can be offered to the existing customer.
Okay.
And when we have 1/3 of the population dealing with us, so it helps us a lot. In UK, we have not utilized artificial intelligence, etc. But the UK retail bank is completely on a digital platform. Every account is opened on the digital platform. In India, we open 64% of our savings bank accounts are opened on YONO, that is a digital platform.
Brilliant. So in terms of remittances, one more area that interests me a lot is the remittance space, right? Because I was speaking to one of these remittance companies which are like, most of the remittance happens through the mobile apps these days.
Yes.
So erstwhile we used to go to Western Union.
Correct.
Erstwhile the only space is banks. You have to do that, right? But now you have tons of applications.
Correct.
And the question that I wanted to ask you is, in terms of security and delegation, so the due diligence of the apps and all, because while we operate in the space of technology, it's also worries in terms of what happens in the cybersecurity space, right? I mean, how safe it is to use all these apps, and why is it like you also do, SBI also have remittance space, right? So what is it different from these the tech apps that does the remittance versus SBI remittance? And like last year itself, 2024, they were telling that 140 billion was transferred from all the NRIs to India. That's the size of it. And I think we are the biggest remittance countries in the world.
Yes.
So yeah, I want to understand more on the remittance space from you.
Yeah. So for retail remittances, we do it through digital app. So customer has a choice; they can visit the branch and they can do a remittance through the branch portal. Otherwise, they can utilize our SBI, SBI UK.
Yeah.
And it's very seamless. And even if they are maintaining accounts outside SBI in India, the money is transferred immediately. So within 2-3 minutes, they will get a message that your account has been credited.
Okay.
So, and my experience is that I get it less than 60 seconds. I get a message, and on the same app I can see my India relationship because my accounts are with the State Bank of India. But even if you have accounts with other banks, you can use our portal, our digital app for making remittances to India. For business,
But my question is, what's your take on this new
Security.
age apps? You know what I'm talking about.
See, there are,
the bunch of new age apps
Correct.
which says we will give you same as Google rate, no conversion fee.
there is always a catch.
Yeah.
Like as far as SBI UK Limited, we do not take any charges. As a, it's our policy decision that we do not take a single paisa as remittance charge.
Okay.
So whatever exchange rate is there, based on that transactions are done. Now for other apps and maybe fintechs, etc., they say that we offer you much better and the rate will be 1 rupee higher than what interbank rate you will find for GBP and INR. But when you actually do a transaction, I myself have experimented. I have seen that how they are doing it and what they are saying, claiming whether it is true. So probably in the first transaction they will not levy any charge. They will try to attract a customer. But what happens after 5 and 10 remittances, you forget looking at the charges they take. So suppose after that they are taking £2 or £5 as a charge, or they are giving you a worse rate and they will say that up to so and so this rate, and maybe for a higher amount it is online rate or something. So I would still say that that if you have to remit money to India, I don't think that anybody can match our rates on a long-term basis.
That's brilliant. And on the remittance, again, I have one more question.
And one more question,
yeah.
I would interrupt
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
You
sure.
asked about the cyber security.
Yeah.
So that's a big threat, and we do, educate our customers that when you are adding a beneficiary, you please ensure that you are adding the right beneficiary. And the first transaction which you do, please do it for £1 instead of making a big remittance. And once you get a confirmation from the intended beneficiary, or you see if you are remitting to your own account in India that your money has gone, after that only you can make higher remittances. So always do one first single remittance with 1 GBP equivalent, because we are not taking any charge on the remittances piece. So it's better that you start with a lower amount, and once you are confirmed, or you take a confirmation from the beneficiary that money has, because you can save yourself from hacking, etc. And the bank system itself is quite robust. We have internal arrangements that our system can intercept and can tell us that this is a fraudulent account, etc., or money mule. So those checks and balances are there, but still customers should take precaution, or instead of remitting 5,000, 10,000 pound as a single beneficiary of first transaction itself, it's better that you start with 1 GBP.
But there's a lot of cases, right, these days. I mean, there's so many cybersecurity cases, and it's the biggest worry of. And I was reading an article, right? The biggest threat that US as a country is facing is more than atomic energy, space, nuclear things, and all. Cybersecurity is the biggest threat for any country, and that's where a lot of crime is happening these days as well. So you got to be really careful.
We have to be careful that we do not share our ID password with any other person. In case it has been compromised, you immediately reach out to a bank or our helpline, or you yourself can change your PIN and your passwords, etc., through the app.
True.
So you have to be careful.
You got to be
because if you leave your house key with somebody else and then you think that police is not doing its job, that's not the right thing.
One more quick question on the remittance, then I'll move on to the last section of our discussion. But on the remittance, the biggest worry that anybody gets is like, okay, when am I getting 114 versus 110, like GBP to INR conversions? This changes extremely dynamic, right? So Deji, what do you suggest? Like, I know it's a tricky question, but what is the best time to remit money? If I'm a salaried employee, and if I have some, like, say, some loans to be paid in India, and everyone does it, right? I mean, everyone remits the moment you get money into your salary account, you immediately remit it. But is there a better way to remit for you to kind of get the best benefit out of it?
Yeah, so it depends on various basically demand and supply, plus various news which come during the day. The rate may be volatile. So, and for a salaried person or any investor, it's difficult for us to always, when you want to sell, that you will be getting the best rate, whether it is shares or maybe your mutual fund or conversion of equity. I mean this one currency from sterling to Indian rupee. So our intention should not be that we gain out of the exchange benefits and all. Of course, you feel great if you are remitting at 150 instead of
getting a better rate,
at 105 or 100, or when I came here it was 90 to 93 3 years ago. So everybody feels like that. So you have to constantly then watch this space, that what's happening. Last few days we have seen it has moved from 110 to 115. So but always it's better that you send remittances in a small tranches, and you try to when you
because anyways you don't have any charge, right? As you mentioned,
no charge. And when you see that okay, today it is 114, don't wait for 120 to come. If you have a requirement, you are suppose remitting a loan installment where you will save a rate interest at maybe 7 or 8% which you are paying in India on your home loans, or maybe education and personal loan, it may be much higher. So it offsets. So it's better that you utilize at every level instead of trying to catch the best exchange rate.
Brilliant. And the last section before we close the conversation, Sudhiji, what I want to understand is, because you spent 4 decades in different various leadership roles, what would be your in terms of top leadership lesson that you have learned from your leaders? Because you would have seen a number of leaders, especially in banking in India. All audience, you don't work in the same space, right? You always move from different cities. You would have met various people. I think banking and armed forces, or you call it as other people, military, navy, and all that. So they have a lot of transfers, isn't it? Like back in when at least during my childhood, we used to say this banker's daughter's son, like they change schools every 2 years.
Correct.
So my question is, there are two folded questions, right? One, how did you manage this transition? The reason I want to understand is, how did the transition leadership happen? Because this is what we are facing today as well, right? I mean, things change very rapidly. They're extremely dynamic. So in your case, you had to change city to city, country to country, and all this stuff. How did you manage this multicultural leadership?
So, as I mentioned that I feel I take pride in this, that I got opportunity to work in 4 different geographies, and as you rightly said that within India there is a lot of diversity. So like, I moved from Gujarat to Maharashtra, Maharashtra to Telangana, Telangana to Northeast. So everywhere you have a different language and different culture, and you have to settle down as fast as possible, and it becomes difficult for the family. You rightly said that my son has studied in 4 different countries, including India. So, and different challenges, because they will have different professors, different kind of students, and every 2 years or 3 years they have to change friends, etc. But then I feel that my son has become an international citizen. More than me, he is exposed to the
Global
culture,
citizen,
and so he's a global citizen as compared to me, because for us bank is more or less same once we enter into the office, but for the family they get better exposure than us. That's my personal belief. And handling this transition is something, when as I mentioned that when we join the bank, for first 2 years we are groomed. During our probation we get exposed to practical banking as well as to institutional trainings also. So bank has invested huge amount. It could be in excess of 500 crore or something annually we spend on the development of our staff. We have leadership institution in Calcutta, plus we have Apex training institutes in Gurgaon, in Hyderabad, Indore, couple of other places, and maybe more than 50 plus regional training centers. So we are time to time we get trainings, etc. Plus you also learn because we have always worked from office. The work from home culture has come now,
Hybrid.
where you may not get to learn from your colleagues, your seniors.
Yeah.
So that will be missing if you work from home for a long time. But fortunately we worked 6 days a week in offices, and we could see.
You don't work 6 days in UK, right? Now?
Not in UK, but India is still, you have except second and fourth Saturday. The other Saturdays you come to the office. And most of the time, when we worked first maybe 30 years, there was no holiday on Saturday. It used to be half day. So working from office, you learn from your colleagues. You, apart from your own job, you also see what your neighbor is doing. So that gives you a lot of insight into it, and you also meet your leaders. So like I started my career with commercial branch Ahmedabad, then I moved to overseas branch New Delhi, or I got to work in New York, or maybe other places where there were senior leaders or senior officers working in the same offices. And you acquire a lot from them. And as you also mentioned that in India, we see leaders outside the bank as well. So you always try to imbibe the good qualities which they have.
So this helped you.
This helps a lot.
Multicultural.
Not only me, all the people who grow in the bank, who work say continuously for 20-25 years. So bank looks for the developing the future leadership as well.
One final question, Sudhirji, and then I'm sure I know you're busy. I'll let you go. But the final question is, in UK, there's tons of Indians, right? I mean, we have close to 2 million diaspora lives in UK. SBI UK, how do you connect with diaspora? What's your ways of connecting? I mean, do you go for the community events, or what is your way of connecting? And one connected question to this is, why should Indian diaspora in UK choose SBI UK as their banker? What is the reason?
Correct. So first one is, how do we connect with the diaspora? Not only diaspora, we also remain connected with the local residents. So we participate in Lord Mayor's show. That, the parade goes around central London. So that gives us very good visibility among the UK residents. It is also live, telecast on BBC. So, and besides this, all kind of events which are related to diaspora, whether it is, Diwali function, or it is small events which is organized by maybe different sectors or religions of the society, we do participate in them through our retail branches. We will generally have a stall there. We try to make publicity of our product and services, open new account then and there through digital app. So that is how we remain connected with them. And during my 3 years of stay here, we have done to improve the project a better image and improve the visibility of the bank. So I have worked on that. I have also stressed on that our technology platform, that what all we are doing, because now banking is done through technology, and with 11 branches I cannot cover the entire population of the country. So we are giving lot push to our digital platform, that is SBI UK, our internet banking, so that customers without even visiting a branch or traveling maybe 100-200 miles, we can onboard a customer through their journey which starts on digital app. So lot of we are investing a lot in promoting our digital app and the technology which we offer to the customer. Why
SBI UK?
Diaspora should deal with us is we connect them for their trade finance related activities through our London main branch. We also provide external commercial borrowings to the Indian importers, the Indian corporates, which are banking back home in India. So their loans are processed in Mumbai, but then, we do the disbursement, etc. So we handle that portfolio as well. And then, the remittance is one big piece where that, okay, you are sending it to an Indian bank. So sending at least this side, that your deposits are safe, they are with us. And we offer quite competitive rate of interest on our fixed deposit. We also offer regular saver. So besides remittance, there are regions to keep your deposit with us. And when you are availing buy to let or maybe commercial real estate mortgages, etc. So in my opinion, this is one of the best bank for the diaspora.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Thank you so much, Sudhirji. There's so much of, I think we touched extensive number of topics, starting from your journey from Rajasthan, 40 years of career in banking, and staying with one firm, one company for 40 years, and what does it mean for a leadership, and multiculturalism, your experience in Mauritius, experience in UK. We also touched on FTA and a lot of other stuff, and tons of knowledge you have, and I'm sure we can do this conversation for 2 to 3 hours more. But it's amazing. I'm sure my audience would have learned a lot. One thing definitely stood out for me, that Namaste UK piece, definitely opening. Guys, if you're coming to UK, if you're in India coming to UK, definitely watch out the space of Namaste UK, right? Opening account from before coming here, that's a very good option. And there are lot of other stuff, and I'm hoping you will get into mortgages as well soon. I know you're there in the buy to let mortgages, but even for the first time buyers, if there is a hope, I would love to see that happening eventually at some point. Maybe FTA or other spaces will increase possibilities of. Do you see any possibility of that happening at all?
We are looking at diversifying our products. So we are now getting into development finance. We are also looking at bridging finance. We are looking at maybe portfolio purchase for personal loan or consumer loans instead of directly delivering that. So these few things are there on the drawing room or maybe drawing
discussion
board,
table.
you can say discussion table. We have started some baby steps we have taken in these areas. So we never know that bank may feel that a lot of new immigrants are coming to this country and there is a demand. So probably bank may gear it up and look at
Brilliant. On that positive note, thank you so much, Sudhirji.
Thank you.
Thank you for this conversation.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you.
Thank you.